sounding good in a boardroom, putting together a good presentation. These are the kind of people that are going to buy our products. They shop here. Their behaviors are this. This is their lifestyle, and it all looks good and it's packaged up nicely. But when you try and plug that into Facebook ads, sometimes it'll go well, but if it doesn't, they're like so sold on that idea of who their perfect customer is that they're missing out on opportunities. What's up, guys, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about something very funny that happens, and I want to share with you why I think experienced marketers make some of the worst Facebook ads people ever. So it's going to be kind of short and sweet, but essentially, as we're getting more experience and as we're working with bigger brands and even auditing some accounts of bigger brands, we've noticed that the gap between people doing really good work in those accounts and really sloppy work, it just gets bigger and bigger the higher the revenue. And I think the reason for that is because, big brands, they have access to really highly educated, highly experienced, marketers. And marketers are really good at what they've been taught to do. They're really good at, digging deep into an audience, building audience segmentation. And so naturally what they're good at is kind of reflected in the infrastructure of their ad account and their campaigns. And so what we're seeing is that all these people are doing really good stuff, top of funnel. They have all these different interest targeting layers built into there. They're doing some of the lookalike, some of the database stuff. And then they're doing, some like middle of funnel retargeting just on basic stuff like web hits, stuff like that. But really, we're seeing a lot of them are just lacking on the technical side of building out a full e-commerce funnel. And I think the reason for that is they're getting so deep into, the mindset of a marketer that they're missing all of the easy opportunities that are there when you just look at data. And so when you kind of, on the flip side, if you look at some of the smaller brands, some of the people that are wearing many hats in their business, picking themselves up by their bootstraps, what we see is somebody who doesn't know a lot about marketing. They don't know a lot about Facebook ads, don't know a lot about anything in their business, in their e-commerce business, but they're just working with what makes sense. They're just using their logical brain to try and make some sales. And so when we see that happening, we actually see them having a much more well-rounded strategy than some of these people that are way up at the top and were quote-unquote industry leaders. And it's super interesting. I was just looking at one the other day, and these guys are spending $6,000 a day. They do millions and millions in revenue, and they have all this crazy stuff, all these prospecting layers, all these audience layers, and a lot of like good top of funnel, middle of funnel stuff, but they don't have like any product catalog set up, no dynamic product ads, no bottom of funnel in place at all. And I think it just really reflects that they've kind of got into their position because of their experience as a marketer, but that doesn't necessarily mean they know how to run with data. And so as I'm kind of talking about the difference between like a marketer and a Facebook ad strategist, there's really two big differences. When I'm saying, marketer, I'm referring to people that, put together proposals, they put together audience personas, and all of it, it's kind of based on some data, some research, but other than that, it's just a lot of theory. It's a lot of like putting stuff on paper, sounding good in a boardroom, putting together a good presentation. These are the kind of people that are going to buy our products. They shop here. Their behaviors are this. This is their lifestyle, and it all looks good and it's packaged up nicely. But when you try and plug that into Facebook ads, sometimes it'll go well, but if it doesn't, they're like so sold on that idea of who their perfect customer is that they're missing out on opportunities. And so the difference between that person and a really good like media buyer, based Facebook ads expert, is they're going to take that as a starting place, but then they're going to take the data and they're going to pivot from that, and they're going to start moving very quickly on what's actually working. And so when I think about it, it's like this idea that bigger brands are a little bit slower and data is fast. And so the smaller businesses, they have a little bit more of an ability to pivot fast and to do what's actually working. And they're not so attached to their audience persona because, they didn't spend tens of thousands of dollars developing that. They're just putting feelers out there, and there's no emotional connection towards who their audience is. And they can, there's even some give and take. Like maybe they launch a product based on some of the results they're getting to a certain audience segment, and their brand is almost like morphing based on customer feedback and where they can get the best results. Whereas like a bigger brand, they're more established, they're very focused on brand, maybe not as much on growth. And that's why we see kind of this big separation between, it's just bizarre. You'd think some of the big brands that are doing most of the revenue would have really, really good ad accounts, but that's just simply not the case. And I think that's the main reason is, big is slow, data is fast. And, you just want to be in a place where you can take advantage and be the best of both worlds, where you're always learning from the data in your ad account, always pivoting from the data in your ad account, but you also have a brand that people know, like, and trust, and that becomes an authority in the industry.